I just got news. I'm going. What's up? It is I, the bearer of no news. But I will explain to you some things that has been going on, and it's all going to be from my personal perspective and personal experience, and then just life living and going through things. Need some background stuff going on. I like the illusion in which this hoodie gives. Now, I like the illusion that this hoodie gives. I got it. And when I got it, it was supposed to be for people to watch my back. As in, like, some people might start conversations with you. And then when you have the conversation with that person, you're just like, sometimes you just want to keep on moving because they just ignored the fact that you was doing something. And then what you do actually needs you to keep moving. So you don't want to stop for the conversation, so you just casually turn your back, and that's what the person will see. First time I actually casually turned my back, nobody noticed it because, like, I'm always on the move anyway. I had a fuss at myself yesterday. No, the day before yesterday, it was like, yo, stay still, don't move legs. I have that problem. It's not even like an ADHD problem. It's trying to stay still. It's like literally a median. So there's a lot of ex people. I call ghost ex people. That they used to have physical bodies, um, and they show up with their their presence. They show up with their presence or whatnot, and I'm like, and you pass in the past. Man, like, stop playing, man. I'm here to show my presence. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but it's something very unsettling and nerve wracking about your present, and it's not so giftful. But I understand the sense of present and you being here and things like that. Like maybe you're here for somebody else, and you're just like looking out for a person. But according to me, it's just like, yo, kinda. I feel, I feel that something's in here, but like it has no intentions to harm anybody. But if you do aggravate and trigger this person, this ex person, and then everything they was ever angry about starts reminding them of why they didn't want to be a person in the first place. They thought after the loss of the body, you're not even going to be on the plane of Earth anymore. Like, eh, I call this video "Promise of Shackles." I call it that because this was a gift. I don't buy nothing else no more. Shorty was like, "Here, take this. You can use some charging." It's on the train. This was just like, this is a Coast Guard band, and I got it Fleet Week of last year, actually. The same year we had a solar eclipse on my birthday, April, around 2 o'clock. You had to been outside. I think it was finishing up around 2 or 3ish or something like that. But didn't have any glasses to see the eclipse, but I went down there to, super saiyan on his energy, down there charging up like, ah. Um, Somebody gave me that little 3D glasses or whatnot. I was like, this is the material. I had a pair of those from the movie theater that I just keep, and it's still in the bag. I just take them. Then the next time somebody offered me some 3D experience, I should have took them out. Or the solar eclipse day. Even put the solar eclipse on my Instagram. Like I was holding the camera in front of the lens, and I was using the lens of the glasses to, like, I know it can do it, and it was just focusing. It's focusing. It did it. It's tiny, but I achieved it. That way, if you've never seen a solar eclipse, at least you could attempt to see one on my Instagram page somewhere. Shackles of promise. I don't know. Promise me you will keep this on until I stop. You know, until I get to a point where I want to, be with you or something. I don't know. I don't know. She just, I think after she gave me this, like everybody who always saw us on the train, I think it was like 4 consecutive days. Whereas though, like we spent mornings, I hop on the train and we just like engage in conversation. And we're like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But like as time went on, like she would get off, I would get off work, and then like I would see her. But like she's engaged in like totally different conversations with these other group of people. And I don't like that because I'm a medium. I know conversations that happen about me everywhere. And it's only like a matter of time before I get the dream. And God don't like bothering me with dreams unless it's like a bunch of people who believe the end of the world should happen. And then like it, and God sent me that dream. And he's like, look what these people in Woodlawn are sitting here hoping, dreaming, and praying about while your presence grace the area. And then like I'm sleeping on the bleachers of Woodlawn High School. It's a summertime. I'm waking up from this dream. Somebody's ending the world. I'm at the harbor and like this water's shooting straight up in the air. You know the fountains of the deep, and when the flood happened, and then the fountains of the deep had burst open. That's when a geyser of open space water literally shoots straight up in the air. If it was in the trenches of the cracks of the earth of the deep, it will be that long trench shooting straight up in the air, and it would be like a tsunami into the wall formation. But like in order for tsunamis to happen, the earthquake has to happen. The earth and the tectonic plates have to rub against each other, which is the fountains of the deep, the crevices and the trenches of why earthquakes are, because the tectonic plates of the planet loves rubbing against each other, so it at least could keep the planet. The planet likes to keep itself warm. So I assume that's what earthquake is for a tsunami to happen. But in this dream, I'm by the harbor. I'm like trying to get away from the large crowds of people who don't know what's going on either, but they just seem so attached to me. I'm yelling out commands and, hey, oh, get away from the water. Oh, no. I go into this building, and then I've run out the building, and like everybody's like following me. And then we're like running towards the harbor. And then as we're running towards the harbor, the water shoots straight up in the air. And then like I'm like, everybody get away from the water. And then I hear he trying to be like Captain America. Now, how I hear this, I hear it in both the dream and I hear it in my ears. So as I'm waking up on the bleachers at Woodlawn High School, there's this woman and she's like walking around the track. Light skinned woman, she's like walking around the track. That's 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 who is like kind of just like in her thoughts about it. So I wake up from the dream and I'm like, kind of a little bit traumatized by it. And I'm like, yo, who is thinking about ending the earth? I just keep receiving these dreams. I don't see the end of the earth, but I get a nice little spot where I get to watch it. It's been 3 different occasions in my lifespan. I had 3 different occasions where like the planet Earth was ending. And probably on one of those occasions, I'm left hovering above the planet as I see the destruction. I'm like, yo, the end of the world ain't for me. The end of the earth, nah, that's not for me. So as I'm talking myself down, calming myself from the dream I just had, I'm just like, up there on the bleachers, I'm talking, I'm loud about it, and this woman is the only person on the track, and she's just rotating. And then like I say something along the lines like, yo, I took a page. I think my parents took a page out of Jesus book when he was just like, you taking the blood, you drinking the wine, it's the blood. You eat it, you eat it the bread, it's the flesh. And I'm basically trying to make a point with this scripture. And then like, yo, the lady called the police. And then like the police show up, it's like three officers. And when they get down there to the track, they're like basically trying to make sure I'm me. Like I'm who I am. So they just like because I was already like getting kind of nervous, like why is somebody calling the police on me when I'm just out here talking? And this is my high school that I graduated from. So like if anybody trespassing, it's the light skinned bitch. When the when she's the old lady, like fuck her. 'Cause she called the police and told them there's a man talking about eating flesh. There's a man talking about eating flesh here on a on a track and field of Woodlawn. And they showed up for that. And then they're like, yo, trying to figure out, like, all right, I'm telling them who I am. As I'm telling them who I am, I'm doing the memory for myself. Cause like, they made me nervous. And I'm like, yo, I hope they not about to just like, we don't care about this. Let's take them in anyway. He was like, so you don't want to eat any flesh? Nothing like I'm like, yeah, nah, yo. Why would y'all even respond to that? Why would y'all and not with the army. You just been told there's zombies on the loose, and they're talking about the first person they want to eat when they get hungry for brains. Why would they respond to that lady? Why would they send police for that lady? I don't like Woodlawn, the area itself, because of women like that who play along in church. They get old, they get bitter, they lose husbands, they probably didn't never had the husband. They probably had children already. The children literally despise because she don't talk like a person should talk. She keeps switching up to who she think everybody need her to be for them, and it's not fair. It's not fair. I get all this out of people who like literally blatant disrespect me, like with the intentions to disrespect me. I call it stuttering Stanley. You seen the movie Sixth Sense? All right, Sixth Sense is basically the little boy who could see dead people. I said I was meeting you. The little boy who could see dead people. I don't see dead people, but if it was a sight to allow me to see dead people, it's a familiar face. But I do hear dead people, so like it's the same thing, but vocal, audio versus visual. All right, so when I go stuttering Stanley, that's basically um, stay far away from the kid who can see dead people, or just don't say nothing at all to people in grieving, coping, just like literally. I don't care how many people has passed on in your life, things like that. And to like you chose to forget them, you forgot them, you carry on deaths like it's a like it's the changing name of a football team or the person trading off to a different team. That's how certain people just carry that. They just it's just too easy to forget. And it's dangerous to talk about the Bible. You can't you can't talk about the Bible around certain people. You if you could quote some scriptures and things like that, but I much rather pop open the Bible and do my scripture quoting like that. Other than that, 80% of the time I sound like I'm speaking old English. The arts, the thous, the thy. And that was the problem with authors trying to trying to be authors back in the 1500s. We at 1507 in this live. But anyway, in the 1500s, you got authors, the people try to make that point, get that point across. But it sounds like every version, every version of the Bible that has ever existed. And then, like, the King James Version is probably the most into the English language that they didn't go New English about. That's why I still call it Old English. Ain't nobody gonna say New English for nobody. Nobody even interests themselves in Old English. Like, my interest in Old English was the lettering. It was art. It was straight up art. And I had Old English alphabets to draw. I mimicked the draw. I just copied them down, just like learning the alphabets to another language. And I just draw the Old English letters because it was always exaggerated. It looked like art. And I like the way the C looks. It looks like some type of spaceship. It's very Hebrewic. The wow, I never looked at this picture. All right, so I have this book called Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. Uh, gentleman, when I was at the Washington Monument, he showed up and he just like, "Hey, I think you're gonna really like this book. I've been reading it, but I think it would do you, better justice." I'm like, "All right, cool. I like this." And he's like, I was like, "What's your name, bro?" He's like, that don't matter." I'm like, "What are you, some type of angel?" You practicing? I know angels. I know archangels. I know dark angels. I know angels of light. I know cherubims. I know cherubims. I know the angels that watch. So, like, when you do have a human form down here on earth, I don't see dead people. I hear them. So, like, I don't know what I'm looking at half the time. I know I'm having a conversation with a human. I know that much. I know the disguise of a skinwalker. I know in my hair right now, I call this the Draconian. It only happens in rare moments that I just tie it back. Other than that, like, I don't know how it's done. X went in the mirror one time, like, who did this? Who did my hair? Who did my hair? And then my eyes responded, your mother, nigga. I was like, all right, I won't argue with it. Oh, I'm like, Mom, lady not here no more. And she on the phone. We ain't got lady here no more. It was a miniature poodle that was black. And she was here for her training. Yeah, got some combat training, some how to respect quiet. Cause, like, when this dog first showed up, you cannot be quiet around this dog. This dog is already quiet. And if your quiet interrupts her quiet, she gonna bark at you. And she ain't gonna stop barking. That's when me and Lady first met. A miniature poodle. Yeah, the guy came in this book and Leviathan. And I've been reading it. I bookmarked it. It starts off the first the first chapter is of sense. And then it's basically of man. It is the sense of man. All right. So the first chapter is of sense, second of imagination, third of the consequences or train of imaginations. The fourth chapter is of speech. The fifth is of reason and science. The sixth of the interior beginnings of voluntary motions, commonly called the passion. The speeches by which they are expressed. It's what I'm doing now. This book was written in like the 1500s of things, but so many human beings did not understand man. So you had a Thomas Hobbes basically going way back into the old English of things and explaining it from that perspective, using common words, using words that literally are compound words nowadays. Like they used to be separate. Like there's certain words that used to be separate in old English talking that like, they're all together now. Somebody made a compound word out of it. I'm trying to find one. I think it was each other. or two or together. Something was separated very strangely. And I'm like, wow, that's one word nowadays. There's a good read. It's gonna take me at least 5 years to finish this book because after I read, my brain has to process things. It'll be so much of a good read that I'm in silence for a good 30 minutes to an hour just thinking about what I just read. And then, like, if I'm in the vicinity of work and things like that, and I read this book, I was reading this book at work. I was reading certain chapters out loud or certain sentences all the way up until I get to the next chapter that I close it up. And then, yeah, I was doing that at work. But much like the Bible, when I was reading that at work, it was making sense for people. But the way certain folks gravitate towards you, it is aggravating and annoying. I thought I was gonna cause a riot reading that book with Leviathan, because somebody probably thought I was reading from the Bible because all the old English. It's just the way they talk. And comprehension makes you read it and understand it from the perspective of a 1500 person reading a, a book from the 1500s that didn't get burnt, by the way. A lot of books in the eras of before 1500 was just literally getting burnt because they were sounding too much like the Bible, or they were pages from the largest portion of what the Bible is, and then like the whole story probably got like the beginning of Earth type stories in it, like the whole 1,000 years, which was the first day, the 2,000 years was the day. By the time the 5,000 years have passed, and those beings and creatures that was just created literally had 1,000 years to develop and get to know the planet. After the planet got to know itself, I'm just saying there's an entire gestation period that a planet goes through where it's just toxins and fire before the water. Like Earth itself used to just be a water ball. It's just like a floating ball of water. I remember the movie Waterworld. A lot of these movies back in the day didn't make sense because a lot of them were just novels and books that formed book clubs. And people was like, we have to make people see this. That's why we got a movie called To Kill a Mockingbird starring George Clooney. If there wasn't a book in the world that would annoy every single American, you was you was reading To Kill a Mockingbird in English. There was a long era of time where everybody was not free from To Kill a Mockingbird. So much when I was reading it, I think it was like in high school or middle school, it was a movie for it already. Yeah, like, what do you know, Georgie? Oh, Georgie. And I figured it out. To Kill a Mockingbird, mock it back. At the end of the movie, To Kill a Mockingbird, George Clooney character took hit, took the other guy who was following him around and he shot him. He led him to a place where he could shoot him because the man would not stop following him. For our George Clooney character to know this man was just mocking him all the way from the jail days. I think I blended two movies. Brother, how art thou? And To Kill a Mockingbird. I think it had similar concepts. But George Clooney character was being followed around by this other character. It was just big, but he was like a little slow. Like what's the word? Challenged. He was challenged. He was disabled or whatnot. And he would follow his character around, and then his character ended up shooting this character in the in the back of the head at the end of the movie. And I remember I was going down Fells Point, and the Mockingbird was practicing all the songs that it knows from all the other birds. So like I hear the Mockingbird, I'm thinking it's just a regular bird or whatever the bird makes that sound. I'm doing the sounds too. So I'm mocking the Mockingbird. Every little everything it did. It was and this motherfucker like stop. It stopped mocking birds and it gave me its true voice. That's probably not even yours. Mockingbird, you stole that from the eagle. Started fussing at me because I was mocking it, mocking birds. And I was like, that's what you get. That's what you get, bird. Mad, huh? It's ee. To Kill a Mockingbird, mock it back. Only the ravens and the crows have intellect that will literally cause them to talk as a human talk. Like that's a true mockingbird. If anything, I see a raven, I see a crow. These niggas ain't insulting my intelligence. They're the most. I got a whole thing called fast travel by ravens and fast travel by crows. If you get fast travel by crows, you're literally going to be a scarecrow waking up in the middle of this cornfield, hanged up and all that, like just like a scarecrow. And I'm like, yo, they only would do this if you have like some type of agenda or um, intentions to scare humanity with anything, with booze, with like with traumatizing stories, probably with lies that probably ain't really true or not. And it's got word. It's not charged. You better start charging. Laptop trying to die on me now. Don't do that, laptop. That's offensive. I get offended. I'm about to get this laptop caught this out here. Unless the offense. Remember HP? That was a computer. Remember Dell? The Dell was going to help me build Jarvis. Dell was going to make my my laptop Jarvis. My Dell laptop was going to be Jarvis. It was going to be an entire R2 R2 R2D2. Like that's how close me and my laptop were. called it Black Pearl. It actually had the name Black Pearl. Black top. Drew on it with some gold paint pens, and it had the name Black Pearl. And they put a boat on it. And I lost it 2019. Somebody stole it. It was the waterfront police, the tour guides of the harbor of downtown Baltimore. It was supposed to keep all my stuff together, but like, after they realized that I didn't leave it there, they thought I left it there, and they started distributing all my stuff in that bag. I had social security cards, I had my birth certificate up in there, I had a Nintendo Switch, I had my laptop, Black Pearl. The Nintendo Switch was for my son. I got the Nintendo Switch for my son, and I was just like, holding it down for him until he get to that age where it's his, all by himself. And because of my mediumism, people like the things I touch. So like I get it. I know a thief. I don't like thieves. I don't like thieves because they're liars. They're the same people. They're thieves and they're liars, and they end up being the same people. And they go so hard for the things they stole, like as if they could do better with the things they stole. That's all a thief is. That's like hearing the quote, selling your soul. Like how you sell your soul, and then whoever you sold your soul to, what are they going to do with your soul that you couldn't do with your soul? Don't just about be out here being an empty human vessel. I know what that looks like. You carry no emotions. You wait for people to show you emotions after you do something, after you told them something. And they have to watch the emotions on your face. Just monitor how every muscle operate on your face. Have you never been a person who don't know how many muscles are in the face more than a human body all together? That's why you're able to laugh, smile, or turn your face when something gets strange and things like that. But never for the simple fact that, like, your crying face, which you express the most pain through, different from your laughing face. I had plans to get tattoos. And when I planned to get tattoos, it was a sure thing. This is probably going to get on my body. But now I got to go through the process. Who's going to put this? I got to go to a tattoo artist. I'm already an artist myself, so it's an artist going to another artist is basically you do something I can't do. Hey, can you draw my hands for me? So I don't know, something like that. I go to other artists to collaborate. And we collaborate on things, and we must understand all that is going on in the world of the perspective of the artist with the words, the author. Another thing about art, you can't spell earth without it. I've been saying that since I've been saying that. Somebody decided to use the internet while I was playing the game during the internet days when it was fresh, when it was just probably green screens. And then it was the dark web. Like I think 90s internet was the dark web. Like the 90s, the 80s internet, that was the dark web. Like I don't know what you could possibly be doing on the internet in the 90s to the 80s that the internet nowadays, like y'all got all this colors full of life. You can learn everything you want on the planet. You can navigate to wherever you need to navigate towards just so it can happen for you. That's the internet nowadays. And this is what I was supposed to been doing. And all this stuff fell out of space. Like that's all I could think about. I purchased I purchase the things I have. I purchase technology. I buy with my money the technology, opposed to the promise shackle. If anything, I was like, I will probably never take it off. And that kind of was just stuck with why I was on so long. I got this like, I don't even know, like months ago. And this promise shackle, I got it coast at Fleet Week. You know what else I got? They must have knew about people who names are just names, you know? Because like I played, like I was gonna put these here binoculars, is like military grade binoculars. I played like I was gonna shove them in my pocket. And as I was doing that, the lady who was watching me and probably own or just don't like the guy Ox. I was like, y'all got extra ones. She's like, you can have them. I was like, for real? You know, I could get like for real. And I stopped trying to put them in my pocket. And I put them in my book bag. And I started looking through them at first. And I sat in a chair where the Coast Guard captain sits. He's got his binoculars. He's just like watching the. They had the boat facing like the pier of the Fells Point. Yeah, all right. Fells Point. Yeah, believe there's angels. Believe there's fallen angels here in Baltimore, Maryland. All right, there's fallen angels here, and they've been operating some situations at Fells Point. So I'm up there. I'm looking through the binoculars. Oh snap! I'm about to pick out where I'm about to go next. I got my camera out, and I'm just like zooming in and all the activity going on the land. There's people looking through the sniper. They had a sniper rifle up there. I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's my next destination. I have pictures in my camera. I'm just like, that's going to be my next destination. I'm taking the pictures from the distance of the boat or the ship or the vessel or whatnot. But I'm like, mapping out where I'm going to go next after the boat. And meanwhile, there's this there's this jet like ripping the sound barrier. All the sound barrier or noise that's been collecting in the atmosphere of Baltimore. This jet was just all through it. And he was looking at me and he was just like, yo, what's up with this guy? How come this guy ain't covering his ears like everybody else when I zoom by? He kept doing this. I'm like, yo, this is the only person having fun. It's the only person having fun on this day. And he's just flying around in his jet, breaking the sound barrier. And I'm like, yo, I got the video, I'm taking the pictures, and the pictures I had to use the sports mode, so you just take multiple pictures at once. I was explaining how cameras work, photos work, and we do this every time. Blink, and when you blink your eyes multiple times like that, me and my sister was having a conversation, whereas though this is how you see little things within your eyesight just floating and they got shapes and all this. I was telling her that's how you keep it in frame. Like you keep if you continue to blink your eyes, it'll reset itself to the point where it started floating off. And then like you get your understanding that way. I was like, you keep blinking your eyes, like it frames it, it stops it. It resets so it's not floating off. I was doing this with the sunrise and the sunset. I'll look into the sun during the sunrise, and then after I close my eyes, there's always like little glares of the lights of the sun is captured, and when you close your eyes, it becomes more like it translates. You're translating the light of the sun from the sunrise. In this particular watch of the sunrise, and then I look away, I was literally seeing like some type of virus eating a virus. A virus eating a germ or a bacteria, and it was just like I drew it down in one of my books. I don't know what book I had on me. I think it's this. It's probably not. Ooh. Hey, yo. Hey, look, I want to show y'all that. This is a space picture, and that's that, thingy. They're going to say it flew into the sun. Did it? Did it go into the sun? Did it really go into the sun? Ridiculous. I told that thing to go to Mars because it looks like I made a camouflage. I made Mars camouflage as Earth, and that 3-1 Atlas thing decided to go to Mars instead. Let's see it. I was showing these young Muslim men down at the Washington Monument. And that's where they came and talked to me. There's an image of my father. Because I'm an artist and I draw. And I started drawing my father. All of them look like him. When I first drew my father, it was when he passed away. And then his father passed away a month later. And I drew him and it was like, yo, like, he just looked just like him. I put a hood on him. He was Jedi. Put the hood Jedi on him. I got that picture. I know what book that's in. I'm trying to find that. Thank you. Anyways, but I ended up drawing the light that was captured from the sunrise, and it looked like what it looked like. And to my big ass brain, it was just like maybe it's a virus eating bacteria. Maybe it's a cure of some sort. And to just like if I own microscopes, whatever I would do a microscope, I would just always have samples of my blood, not just to look at, just look at the blood and everything, and I would just basically know who I am all the time. If I own a microscope, I do have a stethoscope. Me and my son made this word up. He was like stethoscope. He was like stethoscope. I was like, yo, what is that? Let's make something for it. A stethoscope is basically an image in your brain that lets you access all of the universe. It don't matter what it is. You can start drawing and you're just like drawing this land, this is the scenery, and it's not even anything on this planet. It could just be anything from a different planet. And this is a stelloscope image. This guys they represent Inky and Lil, and they're like chasing me around the universe because they had me hostage at one point on Naribu. But that's my spaceship up there flying into the atmosphere. So they keep looking for me and stuff. But at this, the three suns. You see the three suns, and then there's a bunch of like little pyramids and civilizations. There's the mountains up there to the all the way up, and yeah, yo, stelloscope. That's the name of my spaceship. It's Pocket of Earth. Take a pocket of Earth with me every time I space travel. Not from Earth, not from this perspective. I don't want nobody thinking I'm always, I'm always like space travel. Though it would interest me to do so, but I believe I will not come back to Earth. I'll start upgrading the ship the moment it leaves Earth's atmosphere, and I will be warping all through this universe, meeting all different types of beings and planets. And I'm gonna tell them about Jesus first. I'm gonna go all these different planets, and I'm gonna start my missionary on different planets. So I'm gonna tell you about Jesus, how this man delivered an entire planet from the womb and saved all of its species from sin. That's how I keep them from not coming to Earth to try to figure out. We're going to find this Jesus. If you leave this planet, go looking for Jesus. You will meet his father first. I assume it was this book because I did a 13-month calendar on September 11th of this year. Happy birthday, Pastor James Jenkins. Uh, I started to find a little image of the sunlight, which was captivated by thy eyes. You notice that? I told you I speak in thousand arts and dyes. I love Old English. And all in which nobody's even prepared for. I have to allow the savoring of information because the vastness of how fast information is moving, is happening, and always will. It don't stop for nobody. I think somebody was crying in my book. Teardrops. What's going on? Smudging pages. I think somebody was crying in my book. Oh man, that's what it was too. Cause I was telling Kianda, my sister, like, if I was asking her if I left my sketchbooks right there. And I'm having like father son time in a multiverse of things. Both those fellows are me, like different versions. I think he's older. He's the older me. But like a recent me, or now me, or like a little bit older me. It's like a blend of my father too. It's a me, but like it's like a present me. Me always. But it's the me who always had it. And then the suit. That's my son in the suit. And we're on like this special mission. And we're on a planet, and we gotta get to the planet core and get some of the core fire. And the core fire, I don't know what we gathering core fire for. This is the pictures in which inspired. My son drew the big guy and helped him color it some. But that he even drew that little square thing right there. I thought he was about to like, oh, about to make some music, and instead he didn't add the rest of the lines and the treble clef and things like that. But he requested the fire. I'm like, all right, we gotta be somewhere like under the earth or something, under the planet. But he's just like, let me know same time. Like, there it is. Like how crazy it was for me to see his other drawings in that suit. That suit I showed y'all. That's it right there. Look like a surprise Jerry or a Jerry out of pocket. And he's squinting his eyes. And he's like, what? That one there. I didn't do a piece of face one. But that's what I saw. I saw that and I was able to get the suit. Enjoy the suit. And draw the suit. But the two me's are discussing. You built it for him. Actually built it for him. But we're just like trying to remind you. Don't remember the drawings you drew from this year, from this timeline. Whatever happens in spaces, time don't stop. Now, when I call this video Promise Shackles, what do I call it? Give me a second, folks. Can't do it. I'm gonna look on my phone. The shackle promise. Promise shackles. Promise shackles. And I showed you two of them physically. The idea and the concept of just like, somebody giving you a gift, or you making a purchase, or you just attending an event and they got wristbands. And then you become a Coast Guard that way. Now, Coast Guard for me ain't just the coast of the sea, of the shiny sea. It's the coast of the planet from the sky all the way down to its surface, which is the land, and also more oceans and water. Coast ain't just horizontal. The water's separated from the sky and the ocean. The sea to shiny sea. That's the image of the sunrise over the ocean. That's the scene of the sunset over the ocean. To sea to shiny sea. It's in one of those anthems of America. But the gist of your promise is shackles. Something that's going to bound you to just what you have on thy risk, what is attaching you to be property of the state or like a prison, to be property as a slave when those things was happening, where people were shackled by their feet and hands and wrists. A land that was promised to a people. And then I just watched the movie Highs and Lows, and I admire This man Denzel Washington, yo. And I'm the only one who gonna do it away from his face and not try to like be famous via or anything else. And then like try to make it seem like Denzel Washington inspired my music making. Whole time, like, yo, the song ASAP Rocky did in that movie Highs and Lows. It sucked, man. You could have did a better movie song. And then you mentioned my age too, because I'm in the same age range, 35, and I got a pretty face. I'm a what? Shut up. We don't expose how we don't age. And then like Denzel Washington like broke a fourth wall when he was in an interview with ASAP Rocky and Spike Lee. And then this nigga ASAP Rocky couldn't say Dolly. He couldn't say Dolly and it just reminded Denzel Washington of how much time he has been wasted with the interview alone, not with the movie. He started taking a man watch. It like look better on you, OG. He put the watch on and he winked. He winked at the camera. And I was like, don't break the fourth wall for these guys, Denzel Washington. I got stories right now of Alonzo. And Alonzo, after he got shot up, he didn't think he got shot up. They think he went to the hospital, they patched him up, and he could continue to be Alonzo. But Alonzo is partaking in what he think is his life continuing, and the afterlife is the underworld. So like he's running this whole situation from the underworld, and this is what it was so good about the movie Training Day. At the end of it, and then like the Russians came, and it was powerful for me because Alonzo was Alonzo. It was Denzel Washington playing as Alonzo, and he had the respect of a lot of men and women on this planet. He has the respect of a lot of women and men on this planet. But that scene for me with the Russians, they didn't want to see a black man fall. They didn't want to see it. They kept him up on his feet because he was still trying to get to the back of the truck, probably to retaliate, probably had the money on. But nah, Jake walked off with that. But wherever he was headed towards with his key, and he was going to the back of the van, they was talking and talking, and they some more. I don't even. I want to make that louder, but I don't want to cause too much noise going on in here. I had turn the sounds up. That ain't it. Anyway, I probably should have put it on like a recording studio or something. But nah, hold on. Let's see if it does anything. Nah, still sound about the same. But yeah, that was us. That was Denzel Washington Training Day. And I got a lot of people who might say like that's my favorite movie, Training Day, and it's not. It's not. The lifestyle of being a dark narcotics officer, a dark narcotics officer was your favorite movie. What you can get away with being a dark narcotics officer, not the light narcotics officer who was in training. That's how powerful that movie was. There's so much you can gather just watching it over and over and over and over and over. And I don't watch it enough, to my opinion. I take breaks when I watch movies that I already seen. They're probably like years apart. Some of them 5, 10 years apart before I see a movie again because it's still in my head. Like even if I'm watching it, if it's been like more than 20 plus years I ain't seen a movie, I still remember the essence of the movie and I get to go choose if I want to watch the movie, and then I decide not to because how well I remember the movie. Nah, I don't feel like it right now. And I can do this for hours, and I just reached the hour mark. What can you do for 1 hour? Can you sit and listen to me for 1 hour? Can I take 1 hour of your day all the way to a point when I reach the 1 hour mark and I'm talking about the hour mark in which I met? But anyway, there's no hate towards ASAP Rocky. I just think you should have did a better movie song. But I get it if like, it's fast paced world and to my understanding, that's how folks look out for each other. He did that for you, explaining it in the movie. Yo, what you want? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Yeah, I can make sure you're just not touched after this. You got immunity after you sit here and give all our sons back. He was doing that for him. And then gave him the same speech twice when he was locked up. And he thought he was running the show. I was like, good. And like when he said that, he was like, how long did they give him? He's like 25. He was like, should have gave him longer. For making that bad movie song. This is simultaneously going with everything you got going on in real life, G. This is black excellency for your favor. Your young felon sound like free young thug, free young thug. And as many people as I get confused, I knew your name is ASAP Rocky. And I'm like, ain't what they saying. He not even young thug. These niggas look alike. Just so we can get to this promised shackle. We're really not in shackles. Who sits upon the throne? This is the aerial view. This is the eagle view. This is the sky view of your brain facing that way. So in this sense, somebody's looking at your brain from the top. It's not my brain, though I drew it from an anatomy book, and it has to be exactly like it is with the muscles, the linings, and what you see right down there. That's the spinal cord start. What do it look like? If you learn about the medulla oblongata, is basically the medulla oblongata is all right here at the throats. All right. And that's where all the bad thoughts, all the bad things that you think and things like that, it's the digestive tract for the brain. So anything the brain don't need up in there no more, it releases it through the medulla oblongata. Rather you're saying it, rather you're throwing up, rather you're coughing about it, rather you're making a bad joke that's actually an insult. It's only funny when you hear yourself say it. How many of you can say medulla oblongata? Medulla oblongata. I actually had it framed. It's not. That's the spinal cord, but this is the medulla oblongata, the red stuff. Just on that side, probably, because that is something else over there. The hypoglossal, the hypoglossal. Let's see what the hypoglossal does. Oh no, I thought I put it in the book. That's cool because now we can get resourceful. All right, the hypoglossal. If you know the 12 disciples of Jesus, then this will be a great way to metaphor the upper room. You can just say somebody was getting brain surgery done on them, and they needed to know all the functions of the human brain. Not saying that's what they was up to in the upper room, but there was an exchange of language, words, and exchange of power. It Spirit of God, like a Russian mighty wind. All the people up there was speaking in tongue. And when they came down from up that room and all speaking tongue on the street, people thought they was losing their minds. Like, why are they talking like this? This is not the language of the land. But Judas Icarus uh, was responsible for the hypoglossal. So he was the interpretation of tongues, the kinds of tongues. So Judas was always hearing everybody talk. He was listening to everybody say stuff. He was the only one there who can translate what any and everybody was saying, especially the tongue. People speaking in tongue, that's what Judas was doing. He was translating the tongue and interpreting the tongue. But everybody else, he can hear. He always was like a probably master at all the language. He probably mastered all the language for this gift to understand what any and everybody is saying. And that's just one of the 12, if not the last, of the 12 major functions of the brain. And I will name them off to you. The cranial nerve, number one, the olfactory. It's called the olfactory. It has olfactory bulb. That's that light bing, then brand new idea. And it just through the entire brain. So let there be light happens in the olfactory bulb, and then it just like starts shining on all the other parts of the brain to function. What did you get with this idea? Optic. The optic, which is the nerves, is responsible for the sight. Somewhere in those regions. But the optic, the pineal gland or the pituitary gland is actually on the opposite side of the optic nerve or the optic organ. We have the oculomotor. The oculomotor. The oculomotor in the picture I showed you. Look at that. It looks like the apple. It looks like an apple, and then on top of the apple is the stem. But also look like the head, the neck, and chest. Just that part. Mhm. The tro, tro, the trochlear, the trochlear, the trochlear, uh, troclear is spelled very different. These are like medical terms for the brain. So if you're not pronouncing anything else, pick up an anatomy book and look at the brain and pronounce everything describing it. It's making me sweat. how I try to get most of these words. That's the fourth function. The fifth is the trigeminal. The trigeminal. The trigeminal. It was like a little armrest. A little armrest with three fingers sticking out. And it's just like on the side of the pones, and the pones are just like another place in the brain. More and more, I'm describing the seat of God. And then on top of that, your brain functions and how it just like looks like this from somebody looking down upon your brain. And which way I'm going to enter, like that. Actually, I think this is underneath the brain. I might be, I might have stirred you wrong there. So yeah, this is underneath the brain. There's somebody sitting underneath you and looking at all this, all that. This is like the all that. It's just the mouth and that rickety part of the roof of the mouth. All that right there. And this, don't forget, is the spinal cord. So it's back here. All right. So all of this is like in that region, but underneath. I said it was the top of the brain. I misled you. It's the bottom of the brain. But yeah, and the functions and stuff. Okay. I also have profile pictures of brains, like the brain from the side. It's not that interested from the bottom of the brain. There's a lot more going on, and a lot more mechanics here at the bottom of the brain than the profile view of the brain, which is only give you the left or the right hemisphere of it. This one gives you the whole, but the south of the brain. All right, the sixth, the adductors. All right, I know you know where adductors are. You should know what abductors are, right? I don't. I'm looking to see if I know. All right. So the adductors is that little slit. There's a little slit right there. Hold on. This is difficult because the camera don't do what you want it to do. You see those slits? It looks like these. All right, these slits. Where's red at? And it looks like a robe is on the guy sitting down. You see the knees, and then the feet are connected by the spinal cord, and then the arms. You got one arm larger than the other, and these are the adductors. That part right there. I wonder where the tonsils are in all this. Did you know the tonsils are just like little extra little pockets that like filter wherever you eat or whatever goes in your mouth. It filters out and it catches all the like icky stuff that will cause you death or disease throughout the rest of the body. Your tonsils are that. And make sure you don't die just by putting stuff in your mouth. But it was an era in time when it was just like, get your tonsil removed. Nobody knows the function. It probably just stopped functioning for a lot of people because we went through the medieval times, we went through the dark ages, we went through the thousands up to like the 1400s, up to the 1600s, up to the 15. Like, there's a lot of things going on before there was the 1900s of things. And I only got here like the last 10 years of the 1900s. Like I started in 90, and then like the 1900s only had 10 more years left in it. So the future was in the 2000s. I was turning 10 then. If they counted one or zero as an age in the womb or something, hell, I probably am. Like I was actually 1 year old because I came in the threshold. I was conceived in '89 and I was born in '90. I actually had a whole year. I was definitely 1 years old when I came out the womb. Like, technically, hypothetically, not hypothetically, but scientifically, yeah, I was 1 years old when I came out the womb. But in actuality of how we calculate and do the whole numbering of aging and things like that, I don't want a 1 year old just showing up. Go through your infant stage. Like, why are you so eager to be 1 years old and you just got here? It wasn't me. But anyway, the tonsils and their functions. You know. Uh, I don't know. That was number six. The adductans. Like the adductans. I thought I had like the functions and everything, but I was in the Bible when I was um, doing this study of the brain, so I didn't do the definitions of the functions of the 12 major brain organs, cranial nerves. All right, number seven, facial. Facial. You know what Matthew name was before Jesus changed it to Matthew? Bartholomew. Bartholomew. His name was Bartholomew. I remember a movie Denzel Washington was in, and he was playing as a cowboy, and he had mentioned something about Bartholomew law. This is facial. This is probably why my face is expressing the way it expresses when I'm explaining these things. I don't think I don't think it was meant for me to just be talking to people. You probably have to see my face. And so why I probably didn't even want to set up the webcam, but like I felt like that was my personality anyway. Like they're gonna see who talking to them too. And they're gonna watch my face. I mastered all the muscles in my face. My son mastered all the muscles in my face. And he was like, Dad, I can make your face. And he makes my face. He got all close to my face about it. He was like had me laughing. He did another face. I was like, yeah, he mastered my face. Because his mother would be like, you look like your father, and grab his face like that. They try to take his face for. Anyway, yeah, facial. That's that's a, that's a nerve in the brain, and it's a tiny little region near the hypoglossal. Remember we talked about the hypoglossal? We didn't even get there yet. And that's the 12th. This is like a smaller region over there by the. It's so many things over here by the hypoglossal, and then right there by the spinal cord. Like these nerves here, they acting up for me. I'm constantly rotating my neck. How often these nerves are just like not trying to like see people or something. I don't know if my face see the face or people see my face and just start saying stuff about it. Who I look like, what I look like. Is he mean today? Is he angry today? Is he happy? You don't get any of that unless I express it via face expressions. Other than that, I have this stone face. I used to I used to talk about uh, when I when I was doing track and field, there had times to come off, but I had to take the shirt off. I'll stop and pose, and I'll be like, I have the body that looks as if it was carved by the gods themselves. I express that. I express that. All right, moving on. There's the facial, which is the 7. Uh, we have the vestibulocolatre. It's a long. I had to go to the side of the page where I could actually see the entire word. And in Matthew, that was Matthew. Jesus changed his name to Thomas. Bartholomew, you look more like a Matthew than Matthew. Matthew, you're Thomas. So the vestibulocolore careled. The vestibulocolore. I still know I'm not saying it right. Vestibulocolore. Vestibulocolore. I wouldn't even try to say that ever in life. If I wanted to just, this is what this is for. You've been here for 1 hour and 21 minutes. I think it would take more than 1 hour and 25 minutes or 20 minutes to even try to fluidly say that word vestibulocochele. It's gotta be Latin. There's only like 4 languages when it was just the kingdoms of man. It was like 4 languages. It was Hebrew. It was Chaled. Something not that. It was Hebrew. It was. It's in this book. Let's finish this first. I'm distracted by myself and my intelligence. I know I wrote it down. I keep looking through the books that I wrote. All right. The 8th was the vestibalacula chelechet. The 9th, glossopharyngeal. That's another one. Glossopharyngeal. It's a lot. That's James. That's James and the disciples. The 10th is the Vegas, the Vagus. It will be Simon, Zelot. There's a book in the library. It's the Enoch Library on Ricerstown Road. Somebody told me it was shut down, but I didn't go up there to the library to get confirmation. But there's a library in the thresholds of Jewtown in the hood of Ricerstown Road. But there's this book, and it's called Message to the Zealots. And I read a little bit of the book. It's this red book. It's called Message to the Zealots. Basically, somebody wrote a message to the Zealots. And the Zealots definitely are people during the time and then after the time of the crucifixion. And a lot of people, like I said, when the crucifixion happened, there was a solar eclipse, all the planet went dark, and it just not image, it went dark. It got dark, as in like dark things was happening. Nobody knew who God was at this point. We had to learn that he sent his son just to let be known that, like, yo, you gotta believe in me because I'm here on my father's business. So therefore, you have to believe in my father. This whole time, I'm going to show you why you should believe in my father. Show all of humanity why they should believe, or at least a pocket of humanity who was just like, he was surrounded in the where he was traveling in, the whole region in which he was just traveling in. And he never made it out past Calvary. Simon was the one who also helped them take the cross up to to the Mount Calvary. And I just remembered that because I remember watching The Passion of Christ, and then they had the large black man show up, and then in the scriptures it's described as Simon helped them bear the cross. All right, and the 11th, the accessory, accessory, and this is the Judas that got his name changed to James. I think this was Jesus' brother, actually. Jesus had brothers, and James was one of his brothers. And the accessory of the brain is very much self-explanatory. It's how you're able to sense. Is your accessory, all of your accessory is just basically an antenna, just not outside your brain, just not outside like an antenna hangs out. Now, I got my antennas coiled and wrapped into 4 compartments. It's my antennas. They usually be hanging out individually to pick up individual wind signals, like ways for me to look and turn my head when the wind hit one strand of hair or lock. I gotta communicate from that point. All right, last but not least was the first, also shall be last, hypoglossal of the brain. And as I explained, this is everything while you're able to understand anybody. Scenario, you're standing and there's this 2 Spanish people off to the side of you and they're just speaking Spanish. And they're just speaking Spanish. You're also minding your business. But in the midst of their speaking Spanish, you laugh. You're not laughing, you just laugh. You start to giggle. Nothing you thinking about. You just like, you hear them speaking Spanish, but you laugh. And then this Spanish person who told the joke is laughing because somebody just heard the joke. And then you're laughing together. So the Spanish person looking at you who just laughed and not knowing if you know the joke in which he just told. That is the function of your hypoglossal. You might not even know what the joke that was told, but the response was to laugh. The person who heard the joke in Spanish, who decided not to laugh, probably heard it before, probably didn't think it was funny in Spanish, probably think it's more funny in English, but he didn't laugh with it. But the person who's listening with an English speaking voice, will verbally only understand everything English, but if they sit down and they train the brain to understand Spanish, there's a lot of words in the language that will cause anybody to laugh. But this person decided to laugh. I'm doing a scenario here. I have moments like this when I'm just talking. I'm just expressing at work. It's the same thing I'm doing here. I said I was going to do a podcast, which I'll be doing just like all my work days. My entire workday would just probably be me talking. And then if I'm quiet, somebody does something to get me to talk anyway. Excuse me. Or somebody's having a conversation on the phone while they're shopping and it's loud enough for anybody not want to hear it. And then I start talking then. And I have to be louder than them. They're not saying anything beneficial to my ears. They're not saying anything beneficial to my brain. If anything, it's tied to some type of gossip. A lot of people who do talk on the phone out loud at the job, they're literally always talking about somebody or talking about a situation. And to just like, I'm not trying to hear it here at my workplace, but you can hear something I can talk about at my workplace. And then you can count it as, I don't know, music or the radio playing when you shopping at a shopping place, at a mall, at a grocery store. If Family Dollars used to have a radio that played music all day, every day, they probably just stop so they can pay attention to how many people will probably just sing along with the song while they shoplift. You just start taking things on the way out. That is too much of a distraction already. I had moments when I was in the midst of talking, and I'm deep into my conversation. True story. I went swiping, no swiping, swiping, no swiping, trying to explain to people the fourth wall character of Dora the Explorer and how I participate. Every time I watch a Dora the Explorer, I participate. I participate. And I went swiping, no swiping, swiping, no swiping. And I was just like, I had an urge to walk around. Let me just do a walk around the store. And then the way I walked down the aisle, the first aisle, and there he was, Swiper, old man. He just loading his bag up with clippers. Me and the manager walked down the aisle. And he we ain't say nothing. We just walked towards him. The manager, he ran up there first. He grabbed the bag. He like, I thank you, bro. Thank you. You can just go ahead and leave the store now. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you get out of here. I was like, swiping, no swiping, swiping, no swiping. I was instigating the thing. I was like, oh man, that's what you get. That's what you get for stealing, and you got caught. But that was the first time that has ever happened to me in life. And the whole synchronizing thing, the whole what a coincidence, what a coinky dink, how strange. What are the odds that Swiper would be in the middle of swiping? I participate in Dora the Explorer so much that I have a crush on a Dora the Explorer who cosplay as Dora the Explorer. And she just be so active. She does backflips and stuff. She lifts weights. She dances. I'm not going to tell you her name. She know her name. She probably just sitting here thinking about me in the same way. Hey, like this guy's following me. I got a lot of ghost followers, quite literally, metaphorically, and however that means to social media. People like to watch me, but they don't interact. If they are interacting, there's a comment being said because I'm talking anyway. They see my face on the video. And half the time, like, when I'm personally in a room with people and it's conversation supposed to be happening, I often get cut off. I often get cut off when I'm talking. Or another sentence or another conversation happens while I'm talking. I don't even get to the end of my sentence. I can get to the end of my sentence and the point will be clear for everybody never to even talk about certain subjects further past the point of talking about the subject. But the moment I start talking about a subject and then a new conversation starts in the middle of that, like I literally won't even finish the sentence. I will stop. I will attempt to try to finish the sentence while people are actually talking, just so I can finish the sentence. And then I will stop talking. I'm just like, you're going to let me finish the sentence. While I'm finishing the sentence, I'm not saying it, but my tone of voice raises up to a level where it's just like, yo, that's rude. I was actually just finishing my sentence. And a new conversation started up. I despise that human behavior. I don't even like get on my niece about it. Who does that when me and her mother are in the midst of a conversation? She's just everywhere. She's trying to be louder than both of us. She's pointing out things in the room. She's climbing on her mother. She's like, "Hey, look!" And she's just like, you don't even notice it until the mother notices it. This needs an Aries like me, so she's getting her Aries training. And it's how zodiac signs should work for y'all. Y'all shouldn't be like, you're this, you're that. Nah, yo. For every member of the family who shows up as a zodiac sign that is already an established member of the family, it continues on. We just got our Aquarius. We just lost our Aquarius. Trendsetter. I'm sitting here in this family Aquarius list. It's the water bearer. That's the pouring into the Pisces seasons. That's where the water is, where the fish swim. It's where the water comes from. Where the fish swim. Aquarius may be an air element, but it pours into a water element. And all that Pisces guy do is have a conversation with the Aries. Before we got on that subject, what just happened? All right. Now that we just got all the functions of the brain, I will now just tell you the gifts of the 12 disciples. Tongue, knowledge, faith, wisdom, healing, discernment to spirits, working of miracles, prophecy, kinds of tongues, interpretations of tongue. Where would I write that book? There's another lesson I was learning. And I put it in this one. It was also explaining the spiritual gifts that are available. I got the whole bloodline from Adam all the way to Jesus being 77 in the blood lineage of God's sons. God's family tree from Adam to 77 Jesus. I got this American Eagle shirt. It got 77 on it. And then when I wear it, I'll be like, I'm the 77th American Eagle. I think that's a cool way to wear a shirt that has a random number 77. And if it's, American Eagle, I'm the 77th American Eagle. I don't know what that 77 means on that shirt. Oh, Lord. Guess what, y'all? We already had like 2000s. We already had the 600. Remember that? All right, so 689 BC was destruction of Babylon. There was already a 2112 through 2095. Right now, how you would calculate or how you would say or pronounce this year is 2025. 2025 happened eons ago, where King Namu had a dynasty. The kingdom of Akkad and the third dynasty of Ur. There's even an account of King Nebuchadnezzar's rule. And I learned that it's like book trainer. If you break down Nebuchadnezzar, book trainer, a very intelligent king, a very scholar of the king. He ruled through 1125, so 1,125. The year was 1,125 to 1,104. I think time just started going backwards. Like it started, right? Somebody was like, it started. I think it started at 7,000, and it just started counting down for the seventh day. Because it's the time frame. All right, you got this is before Christ, King Nebuchadnezzar. This is all like Babylon. He was the first king of Babylon, and he ruled from 1125 through 1104. So there's a countdown all the way to stop. Something started counting back up, and we here at 2025. It had to be. God, this was before Christ. Yeah, I was just sitting there trying to look for the spiritual gifts. Well, a lot of these things I'm going to save for another time. But if you absolutely have an hour and 42 minutes, you feel free. I only ask now for an hour and 42 minutes of your time. So you can only just not give me that time and just attend this video after it ends. It's at the hour 42. I'm probably trying to like stall until the second hour is upon us. But since we are here, and I haven't talked so much about everything relevant to the human brain, I'm going to talk to you about the Constitution. Why not talk about the Constitution? Granddaddy of all U.S. law, the supreme law of the land, standard against which all law is measured, the establishment of the country's republic, and determines the structure of the Congress, the congressional system, applies to all Americans, the Constitution. Granddaddy Constitution, the Bill of Rights, fundamental rights of all Americans, limits how much control the federal government can exercise over our laws, guarantee certain freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, right to bear arms, freedom of religion, rights to speedy and public trial, the right to protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. So don't be out there having seizures in the middle of the street unlawfully. I know what the word means, but we were protected against unreasonable search and seizures. Have I been unreasonably searched? I have, and I couldn't get to no lawyer in time to address these matters. State laws. 50 states has their own constitutions, which provides basis for the state's own laws. States can make their own laws as long as the law don't conflict with the federal laws and don't violate the tenets of the U.S. Constitution. The tenets of the U.S. Constitution. That's like those granddaddy laws. You know what granddaddy allowed to happen in this house. You get to stay at the house of granddaddy. Just don't be doing those sub-subjecting in your room. I'll go in your room and it ain't according to granddaddy whole house. That's your 50 states. You got 50 rooms of granddaddy law, constitution. Statute laws. Laws adopted by the U.S. Congress and state and local elected officials. Credited rights. Rights when contacted by debt collectors. Rights to leave others our property. Rights to leave others our property. Rights and responsibility as parents and marriages. The rights and responsibilities as parents and marriages. And rules of the law. These are statute laws. Basically, where you stand in your life of things and how anybody shouldn't just be opinionating on your children, on your marriage, on your credit. If you have debt, when the debt collectors start calling you, and then you have rights to be like, hey, yo, I need to know who the debt collectors are because I am violated. I feel absolutely violated because a debt collector called me via the information that was shared anywhere and not by your consent. And they're going to call you asking for money. That's an offense. They don't know nothing what's going on in your life, and they call and asking for money. That is offense. That is violation. But statute laws protect against that. Like you probably supposed to have like a team of police, and they get to track the phone call back to whoever calling, maybe the company or whatnot. I would do that for that. Like, if the debt collector's calling. Everybody in. Keep them on the phone as long as you can. We need to track that location. All right, rules to the road, statute laws, all that statute laws. Basically, yo, where we are in statute law right now in 2025 in America, it's a lot of violations going on. Like flags on the play, I ain't got enough whistles. I ain't got enough referees out there to just like call these people out on that BS, on that stuff they know is illegal. That stuff you know you're not supposed to be doing here on this field. That is not an okay tackle. That wasn't an okay celebration. Aaron Rodgers rightfully got mad, turned around and pushed his own teammate after jumping on his back and tackled him after the touch. He had all right. He pushed that man off and I'm like, yo, what you doing? This is the opposite of protecting the quarterback. Over celebrating. What's wrong? What's wrong? Administrative laws, better described as rules and regulations created and enforced by regulatory agencies. Agencies such as IRS has the power to tell us what can and can't be deducted on taxes, also can be fined for violation of rules. We haven't even started living yet. And everything that is to understand about the IRS, we are being disrespected as a generation of people who come from generations of people who had already had all this law, all this stuff established for you. You ain't had to do nothing but go to a building and get it done that way. I go to that same building, that federal building downtown, the IRS be in the basement. And they don't even know what they do for people. I left out of there frustrated trying to get information about some things. And it's just like it wasn't happening. Some people are down there helping the Spanish community more. I see loads of Spanish people just in that in that building alone, just on that floor. When I was going there, it's in and out. They getting all of that stuff situated. It's a lot of people who's not from this country who get established way better than everybody born and raised in this country. And they keep piling folks up via refugees, via wars, out of all the calamities going over there on the other side of the world. They get the best people who ain't starting no fights, who ain't in the fights, who just in the middle of that chaos, and they bring them over here and they get them well established and a person born and raised here. Personally, don't know nothing how the IRS works. But I know they can do for me what I can't do for myself, and they will put that old lady down there who's self-hating, who self-hates, who hates her father, who hates every black man who has ever attended her life, and then like thresh it off and throw it in my face as a bad day. And I'm just down here in this building to get information before the world ends, because that's what was going on when I was homeless. The world was still trying to find a way to end itself via the system of things. And it's just a bunch of people with the jobs that they had doing a very bad job at the job they apply for. Administrative laws, Federal Trade Commission can establish rules, government, what telemarketers and debt collectors can or can't do on contract, and we can take legal action against business when they ignore its rules. Environmental Protection Agency has the power to control the kinds of lives of the emission that business may release into the environment and to impose penalties. There are laws, administrative laws, that literally is solely for like the environmental protection. Basically, everybody who's just like own a plant or a nuclear plant or any type of industrial plant where things have to go into the environment that's out of control, like the smoke, smog, and things like that, or just like the waste of plants, and then whatever happened to Hiroshima and them dropping all that water, all that nuclear waste into the ocean. It's just they ain't do it, but the explosion did. But them building the plant right there, and then not even thinking about the chances of it happening. That's over in Hiroshima. Their laws are probably way different than United States laws. And this is just administrative laws according to the United States. Broken down from state to city to the entire country. If granddaddy don't like what's going on in your room in your state, then you're in the midst of violations. There's a lot of humans not happy about how you decided to take law and make your own about it. That's the scary part about lawmaking according to a state. They got their own constitutions that they can create their own law, but as long as it doesn't violate granddaddy, the Constitution of the United States of America, I don't care who gets to read the Constitution. Like when you do read it, you read that with full comprehension and understanding that this is somebody's father trying to take care of all of America's children. debt or not. That's a slip of paper when I was locked up, 2019. That's what I did with my time. I took a piece of paper and I learned me some law and I took and was reading some more books. And on the back of that, I got a written contract. If I do decide to do contracts, I have a written contract. But when I start doing contracts, I should do it for this live right now. But that will just go against everything I had a conversation about not charging about prophecies. You can't charge nobody if you actually a prophet out here. I ain't saying I'm a prophet. I ain't making no money. But anyways, if you got some heartfelt things to say to people and you ain't gotta drag religion down with you, you literally are considered counsel. You can console a body. You can console somebody. You can offer therapy just by your voice alone, but it can't be taken advantage of. That's where the frustration of humanity comes. Somebody taking full advantage of what you can do for this planet, or what you can do for this earth. But they rather have you all to themselves, and that's the dangers. A promise, shackles. Some of them are invisible. But if a ring can protect your marriage from being interrupted, or banned can keep you from being bothered by American citizens. I already did. I applied for a Coast Guard. I applied for the National Guard. I did the application for the Navy. The only things I didn't do was the Air Force and Armed Forces. I qualified for the Coast Guard, and then nobody hit me back about it. Yeah, I don't think the National Guard. I did the test for the National Guard, but they was telling me the qualification I did was for the Coast Guard when I did the Coast Guard. I qualified for that. So I still ain't done learning anything I've been learning. And I don't want to know everything in the world. I don't want to know everything in the universe. But what you are excused from is nothing. Once you start the subject and you start learning, you're not excused for how far it goes until you graduate. Thank God you went to grade school where you can at least experience a graduation ceremony. Pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And graduation ceremonies will slow down. And then you had to attend college or something. And then as far as like a natural graduation ceremony, they don't come unless you've been granted some type of Nobel Peace Prize and you do more brain activity than these people would do with their medical equipment or the equipment they have to do the science to get things done they gotta get done in order to receive Nobel Peace Prize. I heard somebody was sharing a Nobel Peace Prize with somebody. I would have been like, nah, they're probably just scientists who just wanted to learn each other's bodies first and foremost and all through and through. And they was probably supposed to been had the information. They probably like, nah, y'all, we been asked y'all for this science and this explanation, but we watched all y'all cameras in the science lab and we were not pleased by how the science that y'all was doing with each other literally got y'all sharing this Nobel Peace Prize. We asked for this months ago. You should have gave it to us months ago when we asked for it. But I'm sure they don't mind sharing the Nobel Peace Prize. I probably had 80 of them things that they gave away to people who were just being monitored to do that science and to do that work. When you look at the word job, Job, do you know Job? Can you get that confused? I learned the word Job before job. Job was just saying was just being said. Like job. But I looked at Job, I knew Job was the name. And then when I think about job and I'm on a job, and then like I think about the book of Job. Anybody devil can come up in there and cause chaos and say he got permission from the most high to cause chaos there at your job. You just don't have to lose your Job. Don't lose your Job. Keep the faith. You're there to work. Somebody will try to antagonize you off the job, off the clock. So you don't have to be there no more. You're the money you make, the same money you make with the employees that's also there too. Stay on your job. Stay on your job. We don't know who's worshiping who. But the more these names and titles keep getting thrown away without nobody actually picking up any of these books and which these things come from, which these words derive from, which these stories, which these already know. The consciousness has this stuff backed up. Your subconscious should be so much in tune to more of a book is going, or what's going on in the book and what's going on in the entire movie. But the entire movie is a fast-paced version of how you can collect that subconsciously. It will navigate you to a book to read. Any book. I'm never done reading my books. It takes me a long time to read my books, but I'm stuck on subjects until I get to the point where I can finish reading the book I started off. And this the last chapter I was on was chapter 3 of Man. It was getting good. It still is getting good. Started from the thoughts, man. And you think I should just start reading you guys some books? Start a book club here and just start reading you my favorite chapters, the books. It might lead to that. Last name Booker. My name is Calvin Khalik. I'll leave y'all to it. This is my first live situation. Don't mind the mess behind me. You saw me looking through the science lab, getting things, trying to find the research and everything that I source. I source my sites. I do give credit. I am not a debtor. Credit is given to the dude that is done. You get your flowers, you get your roses. When I notice, when I see, I will shower you with compliments if you look good with all the things that you do. I give due credit.